script was very different than what we actually shot. Half of it took place underground in Laurel, Kansas, where there were giant grape jelly eating bugs.
I did it because it looked like a real good idea. I signed on just from reading the comic books before there was even a script. I said I'd really like to do this because I think, you know, smart and talented people will come to it. I was astounded and elated when Stephen and Barry and Will and Rick Baker, ILM, and all the other people came in. I didn't think all those dominoes would fall.
Steven Spielberg called me, and Barry Sonnenfeld said his wife sat up in the bed after she read the script and screamed to Will Smith.
I first heard about the Men in Black when a friend of mine saw a large black car, and he said, that looks like what the Men in Black would drive. And I was immediately fascinated, and I pressed him for information. And he told me the stories about how these mysterious men in black appear to cover up UFO sightings. And it immediately struck me that this would be a great project.
I read the script and signed on to the script before I ever read the comic, which is very dark.
The thing that was cool to me is that it's not an alien movie where here come the aliens and now we're all in jeopardy, or ooh, here come the aliens, aren't they amazing? This is more like, here's a group of guys who secretly monitor and keep track of them, and that's their job. This is the reality of the situation, and let's go from there.
Why don't you show him the imports, Jeeves?
Hey, Kay. How are you?
Show him the imports right now.
Yeah, I got out of that business a long time
I was
ago.
trying to show a certain comedic quality there, just from the juxtaposition of the weird goings-on and having the characters be blasé about things that would drive normal people out of their minds.
Crazy. Why don't you get a massage? Take a cruise.
Drop the weapon and put your hands
The
on
tone
your head.
kept becoming realer. I kept talking about sort of playing it as a police procedural situation, sort of like French Connection almost, except when you're shaking a guy down, you're shaking down an alien.
Rosenberg said something about a galaxy on Orion's belt. What's he talking about, Frank?
Beats me.
Beats you.
The script I first read took place over many different locations. It was in Kansas and in Nevada and in Washington, D.C. and in Los Angeles. And my feeling was always centralize it in New York, that if there are aliens on this planet, where they would feel most comfortable is in New York.
You see this? Huh? NYPD means I will knock your punk ass down.
He's coming. He's coming.
Yeah, when he gets here, I'll arrest his ass too.
I was contacted early on. Steve Mullen, who was one of the producers and knew that it would take time to come up with the designs and to actually build this stuff pre-production.
Rick is doing all the on-set creature makeup. He's done creature design. In many cases, we're taking his designs and creating computer-generated versions of these creatures.
I personally felt that in the script that I was given, there weren't enough aliens. And being a geek kind of monster movie fan that I am, kind of said, if I go see a movie like this, I want to see some stuff. The Will Smith's character's introduction to the fact that aliens were really here on this planet originally weren't the worm guys. It was in a bar, and the Tommy Lee Jones character was saying, Chucky, the bartender here, is an alien. In the script, he lifted up the skin of his neck and light came out, and that was it. And I said, I'm sorry, but personally I think that's kind of lame. So the idea that we came up with was his face would open up like a door, and there'd be a little green man in there working these levers, and he would kind of wave at the guy and then pull a lever and it would close back up, and inside there would be little monitors so you could see what he was seeing and all this. And they said, we liked that idea so much, we decided to put him in Mr. Gentle instead.
Linda, I think you're leaning on your wrong... Wait, if
That
that's
was actually one of the first aliens that I saw when I came on the film, and that really charged me up. I was extremely excited after that.
Rick has a wonderful imagination. You can expect all manner of creatures. Some that look like a cross between a snail and a horse. Some that we call the worm guys for quite obvious reasons. There was the jellyfish guys, and there were the little turtle guys.
I wonder what kind of childhood he had. I mean, Rick is a nice guy, but there must be some weird stuff going on in his crib at night. Some of the creatures he created, like the slug guy. Where'd that come from?
The universe is a large and varied place in our story, and we are not living in the center of it.
I think we did more drawings on this one film than I've done in my whole career put together. But I think Mikey was probably the most funny. He could do so much more than you saw him do in the film. You could have made a whole TV series around this one character. He was really funny.
Okay, take Jose's head.
You know how many treaties you just violated?
One.
Oh, try 7.
That's enough, Mikey. You hand me that head.
It was decided that because it basically had 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, that we could make it a man in a suit. And I specified that we could make this a man in a suit if we use John Alexander, who's a suit performer that I've used a lot, because John can do things that nobody else can really do.
Being so enclosed in the suit and my face was in the neck of Mikey, I was really running out of air. And as my body heat built up, it pushed out even more oxygen that was there. So in the end, I was really gasping for air.
Knowing that there was one point where Mikey was going to have to take off and run and leap, we decided that it was beyond the capability of the suit and it would have to be a CG character. So ILM got scans of our maquette and created their CG model from that.
Here's his maquette, which was sent up to us. This is half of his body, split down. And this is his head and shoulders. And we took what he had given us as a costume, and it was our job to make those work together. But one of the problems we had is that he's actually quite appealing, and he had to be killed. So you don't want the audience to be disappointed to see him go. So we had to make him look frightening. So you can see the skin pulling back and having it really reveal this incredible, savage-looking mouth. And then we put all this awful-looking saliva in there to try to make him look horrible. So then when he takes off and runs away, he's killed and splattered into a million shreds of blue goo. It's not horrifying. It's kind of relieved, hopefully.
His fingers and his hands and his flippers and his nose and his teeth and etc. All those things are defined in the wireframe. The next thing that has to happen is we have to give that surface some characteristics about how it reflects light. In our case, of course, it's virtual light that's created in our computer rendering program, but it works more or less along the same lines as normal physical light. Many times our paint artists, creature artists who have been doing this work for years, painting on latex monsters, they're now using that same skill to do the paint work onto our three-dimensional computer graphics models. The tools are all different, but the artistry remains the same.
Movies are ever evolving, mutating things, you know, and Men in Black is no different than the other movie I worked on. The original script that I usually get, by the time you finish the movie, is completely changed.
When Vincent D'Onofrio reveals himself as being this giant bug-like monster, originally that was going to be primarily a Rick Baker physical puppet creature. Unfortunately, in the many months of time it took to build that creature, the script changed. And instead of Edgar Bug standing and giving a long expository wrap-up to the movie as the early story had, everyone decided that it would be better if instead he didn't talk and he ran around and he fought with Will.
The Edgar Bug was something that we spent most of our time and money on and effort in to make that as cool as we could make it. Turned out they were going to rewrite the whole sequence. They weren't going to have him talk anymore, and they wanted to do much more action out of it. And we got there ready to shoot that scene, and Barry kind of said, you know, Rick, I think we're not going to use your bug, you know. I go, what?
Each week I read the script, I got more and more nervous because I felt we were making an action-adventure comedy with very little adventure.
And in fact, the story had changed enough that we actually changed the look of the Edgar Bug creature. We made him big enough to eat Tommy Lee Jones, and we gave him an extra set of legs to make him more menacing. What it came down to was that the physical Edgar Bug no longer applied to the demands of the script. And so the ending sequence is all a computer graphics character.
The main thing we had to do was make him look like a cockroach so that you could believe that he was in some way related and sympathetic to a cockroach.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Was that your auntie?
I kept feeling we didn't have an ending to the movie. You don't want the ending of your movie being a debate between a bug and Will Smith.
You need to ease up out my face for something bad happened to you.
The problem is we now have to do all of those shots, which ended up being 45 CG shots that were never in the budget. at a cost of about $100,000 a shot. So we've now added $4.5 million to the budget of this movie. But in retrospect, we all agree it was the best $4.5 million we spent, because suddenly, action.
What's up? You just gonna eat and run, huh? What about dessert? That's it? Where you going? This party just getting started. Where you going? Where you going?
And there's a shot, for instance, where Will is holding a branch, threatening with Edgar Bug, who of course wasn't there. Will's threatening some poor grip holding a tennis ball. And then Will got pulled down to the ground. And I kept wanting a roundhouse punch because I thought it would be very funny for an alien to do a schoolyard kind of punch. And ILM kept insisting Will's body should move in a different way. And so they were trying to get Edgar just to push him away. And we would debate, and literally a shot like that was talked about, looked at every week for 8 months. That shot was on the line. They'd show me a new version. I'd ask for a roundhouse. They wouldn't do a roundhouse. I wouldn't let them not do a roundhouse. And finally, not only did they agree to do it, and they did a great job, it's an actual joke in the movie that was never intended.
Aliens landing and parking those spaceships at the World's Fair. I think that's what gave me a cue towards a World's Fair architecture and 60s type architecture that would be infused in the design of the Men in Black environment. And that would come outside of their environment in as much as the profile of their props and their weapons and suits and black ties. Everything still feels sort of 60s, but really the 60s part is the design of their headquarters.
Right by Battery Park, there's this gigantic tall building that is the vent room for the Holland Tunnel. Theoretically, we are pumping air into the Holland Tunnel so that the carbon monoxide of all the cars don't kill everyone and put them to sleep while they're driving back home to New Jersey. But you look at this building and you go, I don't know what this is or why it's there. This is what they're telling me can't be. The great thing about New York is you walk around and you see buildings and things that you don't understand why they're there, and you laugh about it. The conceit of MIB is that this is what's inside that building. When this organization was formed, March 1961, this was sort of the style of that era. We're basing it on the TWA terminal at JFK. A Finnish architect named Saarinen designed it, and it's very curvy and round.
Any fruits or vegetables?
The transport agenda point has stopped.
I looked at their headquarters as a sort of an alien Ellis Island terminal. Both drafts that I read, the Men in Black headquarters was described as a series of adjacent brownstones, and I knew I could talk Barry out of that.
One of the cool things about film is at the end of the movie, I get credit for all these decisions that were either done by other people or were totally accidental. One case, we had a chase where Will Smith was chasing the first alien perp that took place all over Lincoln Center. And weeks before we were ready to go, even though we had known we were going to be there for 4 months, we found out the Philharmonic wanted $1 million as a location fee. Bo Welch and I are looking through photos of various locations in New York, and we both smile as we get to a picture of the Guggenheim Museum.
What's up?
Give me LIMSAT 4, please, with a proton induction thermoscan. All right, 4,000.
The subplot of the aliens firing at the Earth was drastically revised after a test audience screening in which the audiences were confused by the complexity of the existing subplot.
In the original script, two warring parties, the Bolsheviks and the Archelians, were fighting over this very small galaxy. And this third race, Edgar's race, had come down to steal this galaxy, to keep the war going between the Archelians and the Bolsheviks, because as long as this war continued, the bug race would be able to feast on the carnage of both parties.
So, what, we don't like bugs?
Bugs thrive on carnage, Tiger. They consume, infest, destroy, live off the death and destruction of other species.
You were stung as a child, weren't you?
Yeah.
It occurred to someone that this subplot was essentially unnecessary. All we needed to do was have a threat from space.
And a real short.
We actually simplified the plot in post-production. There were only 3 problematic scenes. One was subtitled, so we said whatever we want. One took place on the big screen at Men in Black headquarters, so we could write whatever we want. And the third one was a scene where the plot was given by Frank the Pug, a talking dog, so we could rewrite his dialogue. So without ever even having to do any reshoots, we totally rewrote the plot. In the original movie that we shot, those two people are Bolsheviks and Archelian dignitaries.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of all the lives laid down in the hopes that this day might eventually arrive.
And to think that after so long, we'll come together in a tiny shithole like this.
Earth, it's not so bad once you get used to the smell.
All right. Where is it?
Please, let's eat first.
Of course. I've ordered you pirog.
Ah!
6 is up. Where is Ivan?
I gave him a break.
To the return of the third galaxy to Aquilian rule.
To peace. You can kill us both, but you will not stop the peace.
In the original movie, both warring factions send their spaceships to shoot at each other with Earth in the middle.
He got his ship. He's got to be looking for a way out.
Oh, that can't be good. The hell are they shooting at us for?
Andromeda Convention protocol. Each get 1 shot, then they hunker down and try to come to terms.
Yeah, well, how long are they gonna hunker before they start shooting again?
1 hour.
1 hour. Then what? They're just gonna start teeing off on each other with us caught in the crossfire?
It's like a Western, where the cowboys are shooting at each other from opposite sides of a rock.
We're the rock?
Sucks, huh?
6 or 8 weeks before the movie was released, we got new recorded dialogue for the pug dog and reanimated his mouth to say the new exposition.
Frank. Sorry, Kay, can't talk right now. My flight's leaving.
Ow! Get your paws off!
Call the pound, we got a stray.
The dog owes my friend money.
Archelians and Bolsheviks, Frank, what do you know?
I know nothing.
Not a thing.
Stop it, okay. I know they've been fighting since forever over a third galaxy. There was a peace conference downtown, and the Bolsheviks were gonna turn over the galaxy.
And the bug had other plans.
His colony's been living off this war for centuries.
Ask him about the belt.
So my suggestion is to always have a talking pug dog somewhere in your movie in case you need to change the plot elements in post.
We basically were able to lose one entire nation of aliens.
Hey, your skin is hanging off your bones.
It's why I like post-production the best. It's amazing how you can fix movies in post-production, how elastic they are.
Is that letter?
By the time you're done shooting, your movie is as bad as it could ever possibly be. All your dreams, all your loves, all those great moments, they're gone. Shooting is very, very slow because every shot is blue screen or wires or complicated choreography, which is always sort of the enemy of comedy, because comedy likes momentum and speed, but then visual effects require meticulous design and no momentum.
You know, you're much too tense.
All a director does is have thousands of opinions about every single question. It's just through an accumulation of thousands of decisions that you sort of create a tone and style to your movie.
This movie,
I'm gonna cry again.
in success or otherwise, is because of you. You made Tommy Lee Jones hilarious. You made Will Smith really attractive. You did a great job. You led me. Barry, you made it great. You made it so... Barry, you actually suck. You actually really suck.
No.